Of course. Here's the rewritten article based on your points, ensuring it's logically structured, very different from the original, and aiming for around 6,000 characters as you requested. In the quiet corridors of her mind, Brooke Lynn Quartermain often revisited a memory she could never seem to lay to rest. The memory of a love once burning so brightly it consumed her every thought, and the secret that had haunted her ever since. When she was young, reckless, and convinced the world would bend to her desires, Brooke had fallen madly in love with Dante Falconeri. Their connection had been electric, intense, and intoxicating in its innocence. But life, as Brooke had painfully learned, was rarely simple. At the peak of their passion, Brooke had discovered she was pregnant. Fear, pride, and uncertainty battled inside her. She convinced herself that Dante, with his dreams and ambitions, would be better off never knowing. She alone bore the heavy burden of choice. In secret, she carried the pregnancy to term, never breathing a word to anyone, not even to the boy who had once made her heart race. The day she gave birth was the most painful and the most beautiful day of her life. With tears clouding her vision, she handed her newborn child over to a care center, a decision she made under crushing pressure and youthful panic, believing it would offer her baby a future she could not. As she watched the tiny bundle disappear behind closed doors, a part of her soul shattered, never to be fully mended. Years slipped away like mist through her fingers, but regret remained a constant companion. It twisted inside her, a relentless ache that grew heavier with every passing day. She buried the secret deep, locking it away behind her public persona of charm, defiance, and ambition. Still, in the quietest hours of the night, when the world around her slept, Brooke would lie awake, consumed by a gnawing need to find the child she had given up. Finally, unable to endure the not knowing, Brooke made a decision. She would find her child, no matter the cost. One crisp autumn morning, Brooke returned to the small, nondescript building where it had all begun. The care center sat on the outskirts of town, its faded paint and creaking sign telling a story of better days long past. With hope surging and dread pooling in her stomach, she pushed open the door, only to be met with emptiness. The reception area was abandoned, dust motes swirling in the shafts of sunlight that pierced the broken windows. Desks lay overturned, papers scattered like the remnants of forgotten lives. The place was not merely closed, it was gutted, erased, as if it had never existed. Her heart pounded in her ears as she wandered through the hollow shell of what had once been her last connection to her child. Every room she checked yielded nothing, no records, no staff, no leads. It was as if the center had been wiped off the map. Standing in the ruins, a sickening realization washed over her. Finding her child would be like chasing a ghost, a needle lost in a field of hay. Brooke sank to the dusty floor, feeling the crushing weight of defeat. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to weep. Yet Brooke Lynn Quartermain was not a woman easily broken. In the days that followed, she refused to give up. If traditional paths were closed to her, she would carve a new one. She began by reaching out to old contacts, leveraging every ounce of her family's influence. Discreet inquiries were made, private investigators were hired, and every scrap of information about the center's history was gathered. Through persistence, she learned the facility had closed abruptly after a scandal involving missing records and mismanaged adoptions. Many of the children had been relocated, their files either lost or deliberately destroyed. Some children had been placed with foster families under false names to avoid public backlash. The enormity of the task ahead was staggering. Yet within the maze of dead ends and red tape, Brooke found a glimmer of hope. A single name emerged from the ashes: Sister Agnes, a nun who had once volunteered at the center and who might still remember the children. Brooke tracked Sister Agnes to a convent in a remote part of the state. Without hesitation, she embarked on a journey that felt more like a pilgrimage than a simple drive. As she approached the modest building, nestled among sprawling fields, her heart thudded with a mixture of fear and hope. Sister Agnes, now frail with age but possessing a sharp memory, listened intently as Brooke poured out her story. After a long, thoughtful silence, the nun admitted she recalled a baby girl fitting Brooke's description, placed under circumstances that had troubled her deeply. Though she could not give a name, confidentiality rules still bound her even now. She offered a clue. The child had been adopted by a family from a nearby town, the Thompsons, who were known for their kindness and stability. Brooke clung to the fragile thread of hope, following the lead to the small town. There, she discovered that the Thompsons had indeed adopted a baby girl around the same time, a girl they named Lila, after the late matriarch of the Quartermain family, although the Thompsons had never known the true significance of the name they chose. Now a young woman, Lila had grown into a talented artist, known locally for her breathtaking paintings and vibrant spirit. Brooke, overcome with emotion, attended a gallery showcasing Lila's work. She stood at a distance, drinking in the sight of the young woman who, in so many ways, mirrored herself, the same stubborn chin, the same fire in her eyes. But as much as her heart cried out for reunion, Brooke hesitated. Could she simply walk into Lila's life, revealing truths that could shatter the young woman's world? What right did she have to upend everything? In the end, Brooke chose patience. She introduced herself to Lila under the guise of a patron of the arts, striking up conversations that, over time, blossomed into a tentative friendship. She learned about Lila's dreams, her fears, her passions, and each revelation deepened Brooke's love for the daughter she had never stopped missing. There would come a day, Brooke vowed, when she would tell Lila the truth. But for now, she treasured every moment, every word, every shared smile. She had found her child, not through force or desperation, but through faith, persistence, and a heart that had never truly given up. Brooke Lynn Quartermain's journey was far from over. But as she stood amid Lila's paintings, surrounded by vibrant colors and boundless possibility, she realized that some of life's most beautiful stories were born from the deepest regrets, and that redemption, no matter how long delayed, was always within reach. Would you also like me to write a second version that's even more emotional and dramatic? Paint palette sparkles.